you curious what's coming in today's game update for The Sims 4? Hello, my name is Jennifer and welcome to my Sims 4 news video. I'll also go over when I would expect that update is going to be. But first, the SimsDirect tweeted, Sul Simmers, just a reminder that we have a base game update tomorrow. When they had tweeted this, it was on Monday, December 2nd. And if you use mods, now would be a great time to prepare by reading through their mods and game updates blog. So they have a full blog post, which they had released previously. But my main thing that I'm concerned about is that, is this a sign that the update is going to break mods? Because this is the second time that they've mentioned mods. They also mentioned it last week when they shared the TDSC file ahead of the December 2nd update and the information that they're moving from Adobe Flash to Adobe Animate for UI modders, and they were shared in the Sims Discord. That was last Tuesday that they shared that. So it just makes me wonder if mods are going to be impacted more than they were last time with the last major bug fix update. Though it's possible they're just trying to educate Simmers that, mods can cause problems with the game, especially after updates, because they can break. Now, one thing that they have in their thing to prepare, which I'll go over my suggestions at the end of this video, is that they're just saying that, the mods and custom content are automatically disabled with most updates, as we know. And then they don't talk about removing mods until you notice you're having problems, and then you're doing a 50-50. Whereas I personally think you should just head off any problems and remove your mods folder and test things with them out before you go in, and have a save that's specifically for testing that you don't usually use mods. And if you're going to use your saves that you already have, never save with your mods out if they're saves that usually use mods and custom content. But so as to when I expect it, the usual time is 10 a.m. Pacific. So that's when I expect this game update's going to be. That is 1 p.m. Eastern, and I will be linking to this in the description down below, as well as to anything that I have shared. You will also find that there. So as to what we know is coming, we're getting a lot of bug fixes. We got this tweet from the SimsDirect last week, which essentially showed a little video clip of some of the before and after that we can expect. And these are all noted in the full laundry list. And 2 of these are things that were noted as their top 5 items. So they should be looking like they don't have clothes on under the mosaic where they had been for a while. And then you had, the gallery Sims from Cupid's Corner shouldn't have high-pitched voices that will be going forward, not ones that you've already downloaded or got from before using Cupid's Corner. Anyways, there's the top 5. Like I said, 2 of those were in that screenshots. And now here we have the laundry list. Essentially, they're going to update the community on what's coming in The Sims 4. And also the fact that they're thinking about renaming it. So they have a thread or a channel specifically over on their Discord looking for feedback as to what it's called. And from what I could gather, one of the reasons they were thinking about changing it is because they were thinking that maybe laundry list wasn't clear as to what that was. Probably more for newer Simmers, because people who've been around for a while probably understand what it is, to maybe make it more clear as to what it is. So that, last I looked, was still open for feedback. And of course, they're talking about the fact that the 150 plus fixes with the November 4th update, they're moved beyond that, but they remain committed to resolving the top community reported concerns. However, many of the remaining top community concerns are trickier ones to fix. So it might take a little while, I think, to get those fixed. And of course, we'll have some more fixes in early 2026. And that is noted, some of it is noted on this laundry list before or after they show the December fixes. So anyways, they did have a blog post which had guidance for playing performantly, which covered a lot of things. If you want me to go over that, I can do a separate video on that. And also on how to back up your saves. And they have, information over on their EA Forum Sims Game Info Hub. Of course, the laundry list links to those things, so you can also get to those blog posts through the laundry list. So here are those top 5 voted fixes which were in the tweet that they had shared. So the first one was being, not having clothing under the privacy mosaic. And then also there was an issue where you might get the season screen popping up, like the season selector screen popping up when you were traveling, and that's supposed to be fixed. And there's the one about the male gallery sims not having high-pitched voices. That was specifically linked to Cupid's Corner. They don't mention that there, but again, as I said, it's not retroactive and it'll only affect, they say future saves going forward, but I would think it would be even in existing saves if you get new gallery sims, just not ones that had already come from before. But that's just my expectation. I usually find that that's what they mean when they say that future saves. They really just mean future instances of it happening. And then they fixed an instance of save corruption that was resulting in an error code. If there was a sim that was dead and a ghost, and min LOD not actively engaged with the player, it was causing some code around small business careers to crash the game on load. And then also they made some progress on children being taken away despite not being neglected, but they do need to do more investigation before they mark it as fully resolved. So hopefully that means that bug report stays open, but if not, there'll just be a new one generated. So base game, you can see they have a few here. There were, when I counted, it looked like 48 fixes coming, though some of them we're getting extra swatches, so that seems to be what's new. And if there's anything else new coming, like maybe some, holiday items, which we sometimes get in December, nothing's been said, so we don't know that. So then we have this about the nature soundscape shouldn't wake up Sims. Teens will retain their active aspiration when they age up to a young adult. Currently, what happens is you can choose one aspiration, and if you choose a different aspiration, they get 2 aspiration-related traits. So I guess that's not going to be happening anymore. I kind of like that, but anyways. And then they, something to do with the mental fog being toned down. And then the arm living chair had a duplicate color swatch. They didn't want to remove it. So they ended up, it looked like adding a bunch of new swatches and also for some other ones there. There's, something to do with the main menu if you don't have a household, and just some other ones that you can kind of see noted there. Now, here we have, they haven't actually split them between the types of packs. They just have it alphabetically for all the packs. So we start with Adventure Awaits, where there were one here to do with pre-made custom venues, but this again seems to be a partial fix. And then there was the hairstyle should be visible, which they had shown in that little screen video clip, and then a couple of other like clothing / build by small minor fixes. Again, with the autumn apparel, there's the gloves, which they had shown, and business and hobbies, there is a wallpaper that's being fixed, and then they've added a purple variant color swatch to 8 doors and windows that was previously missing. So they seem to be going through and fixing some things to do with swatches. Moving along, we have some cats and dogs where there was an issue where you can have more than 7 Sims because there was a slot reserved for adopted cat story arc. Anyways, that should be fixed. And then there added timing restrictions on how often a pet can explore the Pooh bush to every 3 days. So that means it shouldn't happen as often. They shouldn't get like sick or whatnot. And this is quite funny. Sims will no longer receive a text from their pet about missing a curfew. City Living, there was something to do with the Sims and the social media career. And then next is Cottage Living, which is kind of smushed up into the City Living, where there was like a shadow to the Cottage Living pack icon, kind of minor, but whatever. For Rent, there seems to be something to do with the shirt. And Get Famous, the Attend Drama Club interaction is now available as self-interaction and on other household members when a teen sim is at the max level in Drama Club and has left for rehearsal. And that's going to remain for 90 in-game seconds afterwards. And there's a couple of times where I haven't been able to go to Drama Club. I wonder if that's going to be that. I don't find it happens all the time. Then there's a little thing with Greenhouse. Haven, high school years, corn dog food object. It was not using, you couldn't really see it and it should be fixed. Life and Death has a few fixes there. To do with the bucket list and a couple of the parties, and Ghost Sims will no longer appear as regular living Sims while in the Reaper career attempting to collect souls. And then you can now mentor coworkers. I'd had an issue with that where I wasn't actually able to see it. And then the Ingest Ambrosia interaction is now available to Ghost Sims when Ambrosia was made by a Sim from another household. And then My Wedding Stories, there was an issue, which that was another one they showed in the screenshot where it was grayed out. You couldn't see that. The ability to get married. Moving along, we have paranormal stuff. Terrified and Scared Emotions are now available in SimStats. Their Realm of Magic is like a build, buy, fix. Seasons. Children and teens can now donate on the computer when in the Scouts after school program. That was tied to if they didn't have charisma skill, they couldn't do it. It was a somewhat recent bug that is being fixed fairly quickly, it seems. And then there was one for vampires where non-vampire Sims will no longer autonomously eat plasma fruit salad, which is good because they get sick when they do that. Then they have some for multiple packs. There is one instant with save corruption that should be fixed. There was an issue where sand sculptures were auto-generating on beaches when it rained a lot. And then they made some change to allow gates with lanterns to have the lanterns light up the area around them. And they list what the gates are for that. And then they have things for mischief and singing will no longer autonomously do that if they dislike them. Now, the police station, Foxbury Commons, and other work computers are now fixable after they've been broken. And the Tumarani interaction will now fulfill the greet coworker task in the doctor career. And they fixed an issue with temporary stays where certain Sims couldn't be invited to stay over from a residential rental lot. So that's it for the listed fixes that we should be expected. So here they have things that they're working on for the new year, and they're things that they're hoping to have fixed in the January base game update. They don't say when that base game update is. So there was something to do with the makeup category for toddlers, and they are looking at some stuff to do with saves that are having some problems, and they could load them with the memory boost feature. Have you tested the memory boost feature? I haven't tested it yet myself. Of course, you have to be on Windows to be able to have access to test it. I'm curious if you've tested it, if you've noticed any improvements. That's an aside, obviously. And then there's a server error when uploading to the gallery or library, and they're trying to fix that, though it's proven tricky. And they've identified the main cause of Sims standing around instead of caring for infants and toddlers and plan to provide an update soon. That would be good. Memorial portraits and graduation photos no longer display a Sims image and appear blank is another one that they've made progress on and are targeting for a future update. I don't know about the January update. And then Sims attending a work school rabbit hole, not remaining in the rabbit hole when loading a save. So essentially when you reload the lot. And then Sims using objects obsessively is another issue they're tackling. And it's a rather complicated issue to solve that might take some time, but they have some creative solutions they're discussing. So that's just a brief update about what they're looking to hopefully fix next. I'm not sure that all of those will be in January, but I guess we'll see come January. And they are also doing some, Q&A that they did one the day that they released the laundry list, and they actually had a summary of it, which is here. They covered how the bug fixing pipeline worked. The Sims devs walked us through the full bug workflow, which includes reproducing the issue, having QA verify it, engineers assess the risk, and finally fixes go through the patch submission pipeline. And if a fix isn't stable, it may be pushed to a later patch. The team explained how they prioritize long-standing bug fixes, considering factors like severity, frequency, how easily the issue can be reproduced, and the risk involved, especially when working with older or fragile systems. They also highlighted a key challenge. They can't fix what they can't reproduce, so they're asking the community to keep sharing save files, videos, step-by-step instructions, or testing things with mods turned off whenever possible. Then they discussed the game complexity and system challenges. So they gave some more insight into bug fixes. What might look like a small bug can sometimes mean reshaping larger systems behind the scenes. Testing with mods is tricky as they often reveal engine weaknesses. While the devs can't test every mod, any mod-related findings still help pinpoint underlying issues. And then they went on to talk about communication and transparency. So players were asking for more visibility into what's being investigated versus actively fixed. And the devs plan to share more updates on the statuses of community reported game issues going forward. And then, they thanked everyone who participated, and they look forward to hosting more sessions like this moving forward. So I kind of wonder if they're going to be trying or aiming, at least for now, for once a month like they've been doing. I guess time will tell whether that is what they end up doing. So we're just gonna end on some basic steps on how to prepare. This is mainly for computer players, though PlayStation players can also do the first step, which is make a backup of your saves. I do go over this in more detail in a tutorial video that I have. And of course, EA now has a blog post on how to do that. So I recommend moving your mods folder to your desktop right up front, because problems can still happen if the mods are in your game, even with them disabled. Check your saves folder for any mod settings files, because they can also cause problems if they're there, even with your mods out. After you update, repair your game in the EA app. On Steam, this is verify game files. Then I recommend you delete your local thumb cache file, and then of course wait until your mods and custom content are cleared or updated before adding them back in. And just a reminder, mods and custom content are automatically disabled with most updates. And I'm gonna guess they're gonna be disabled with this one, since they've already given the heads up a couple of times about mods. And then, as I mentioned, I do have a tutorial video, so if you want to see the whys and hows of how to do some of these things, I go over that there. And if you want to temporarily avoid the update, turn off automatic updates and go offline with the EA app. It's probably recommended, or I recommend, that you just check that they still are turned off if you know you've turned them off before, because every time you get something new, I've noticed that the EA app prompts you to turn automatic updates on. So it's probably good to check to make sure that you didn't inadvertently turn them on. And again, you just go offline with the EA app when you want to play. You don't actually have to stay offline with the EA app. It'll just tell you there's an update there. You just can't go play without updating if you stay online. So that is that. So I'm curious what you think about the fixes coming, and if you think something new is going to be added in the update. Again, reminder, the expected time is 10 a.m. Pacific. And I will link to that for your own time zone down below. That's going to be it for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!